Hi, I'm Sharan.
And I'm Sudeep.
You're listening to the 10-minute episode of CoBB.
This is an attempt to give you a bite sized and power packed episode full of interesting marketing stimulus and a few examples.
Let us know how you like this new format. Sudeep, we started CoBB with the intention of making marketers get better or helping them get better every day. But how exactly do marketers, advertising professionals, and entrepreneurs make themselves better in building their own brands?
Let me take inspiration from this book by Malcolm Gladwell called Outliers. It speaks about the 10,000 hour rule, and it simply puts out that if you want to get better or possibly the best at anything, you have to practice it for 10,000 hours. I think the same rule applies to marketers, except that they have to be clear about what are they spending those 10,000 hours on. If you're a product manager, brand manager, digital manager, performance manager, this would not include the entire day when you are in office and performing your day-to-day responsibilities, because your day-to-day responsibilities also have a lot of operational tasks. Those 10,000 hours actually should only count when you're thinking consumer, when you're thinking brands, and when you're thinking brand strategy.
Perfect. In fact, this reminds me of Molly's book, Get Better at Getting Better,
Correct.
in which he
Yes.
says experience is not doing the same job for 3 years, but how you get better every year by doing the same while doing the same job.
Correct. So therefore, now if the attempt is to specifically focus in on these two three aspects, I have a formula that all marketers can remember
Perfect.
and thereby possibly attempt to get better. So this is something that I have tried to do personally, and it's possible that it might work for everybody. So I have three A's. Okay.
Perfect.
First is accumulation, second is assimilation, third is adaptation.
Accumulation, assimilation, and adaptation.
Correct.
All right.
So accumulation is all about finding sources where you could read, hear about latest marketing campaigns, latest advertising, any news with regards to marketing. Make sure that you surround yourself with a lot of information around marketing and create a lot of fodder. I, for example, when I was a brand manager, I used to read Brand Equity very regularly,
ET.
or I had subscribed to RSS feed of agency FAQs.
Right.
Use also used to look at advertising on this website called Mag India. I don't even know whether that exists or not. So that is something that I used to do.
That just makes us all look very old, when you talk about all of this.
Possibly.
But
Yeah.
today, these avenues have changed, right? So people can subscribe to blogs. People can follow specific people on LinkedIn or Twitter. For example, Arindam Paul does brilliant posts on brand building in the digital era. There's Karthik Srinivasan, who's got a blog, Beast of Trial. There's Seth Godin's blog, the longest running blog in the world. He posts every day. So there's so much to get. And even this podcast, COB, or any podcast for that matter, on the subject that you're interested in, are the modern ways of getting similar kind of information in more bite size, consumable bite sizes as possible.
Correct. So therefore, find sources of accumulation and get to them.
Got it?
Second step is assimilation. Assimilation is when you get to know about a campaign or an advertising. The invitation to each marketer or budding marketer is that you should think about that campaign and try to decode the company's stance on its view about the consumer and her needs, its view on its product or service proposition, and its view on the best articulation of the proposition.
Oh, perfect. So the three A's have a further breakdown. Let me try and
Yeah.
fulfill this up. Let's do it with an example. 5 star. So you've seen
Hmm.
the. I'm sure we discussed this before about 5 star. Spoke about the AI Do Nothing University, how you compete with AI, that
Correct.
PVC, right? Let's take that
Yes.
and let's look at the company's stance on all these parameters. So what are
Yes.
they talking about? What's the stance on the consumer and their need? they're talking to youngsters
Hmm.
and who want to stay ahead of the curve, but they want to do it effortlessly. So
Correct.
that's the stance. They are the people they're talking to. This is what they believe the customers or consumers want to do. Then what is the proposition? They say when you consume five star actually consumes you. It's so good that
Yes.
you're so enveloped by five star that you really can't do anything. So basically, it's asking them to take a pause. Five star helps you pause and kind of relax a bit.
Yes.
And talk about the proposition that they've done is saying smart, funny, quirky, and very deliberately a teenage brand is what five star is looking to be. So
Correct.
the stance is of the consumer, the proposition is about doing nothing, and the last one is the view on
Yeah.
the articulation,
Articulation of the articulation of the
articulation of the
proposition.
proposition, which is about being smart, funny, and deliberately teen. Does that
Correct.
make sense?
Yes. So therefore, whenever you are looking at a campaign in the assimilation stage, you should try to decode all three. And this process of decoding and articulating will help you become very good at marketing or expressing your marketing point of view and understanding marketing point of view.
Got it.
Yeah. The third step, which is adaptation, within this series of accumulation, assimilation, adaptation. Adaptation specifically is about bringing this learning home. So, therefore, the invitation is force yourself to think. If you were a five-star brand manager or brand manager of the company whose campaign you are analyzing,
Right.
what would you do differently? Number two, if you were to learn something from this, what is that learning and how would you apply it to your brand?
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
Because it's, I mean, it's about learning from what's happening and saying how I can do it for my brand, right? So I think that's perfect. If let's
Correct.
explain this a little, let's stick to the five star bit. Say,
Okay, let's take the five-star example.
okay,
Now, if I look at this advertising, not only does five-star sticks to his familiar stance on variety of things that it picks up.
right,
What I've noticed, it always picks up some very salient or topical issues which their TG would be concerned about. So the target segment, would be concerned about Valentine's Day, and they might find it overtly mushy, which was what their previous advertising were all about, the
right,
couple detector one.
right,
And then, previous to that was crypto coin, the nothing coin. Now, lately, AI is the center of the news. So therefore, their TG would be worried about AI and its impact on careers ahead. So
right.
five star not only has the right stance, but it also picks up the right issues to make sure that it is riding on topicality and thereby making the brand salient.
Perfect.
Now, if I was a Fevicol brand manager, I would look at it and I will say that this is a great way of making sure that you're relevant, you're salient in your consumers' eyes. And hence, even in either in my advertising or in my social media posts, I would possibly see if I can adopt a unique stance to a lot of the issues which might concern a significant chunk of my TG. So if I'm the five-star guy, my TG possibly is much broader than five-star TG, and hence I can afford to have a point of view on variety of subjects.
Wider subject. Got it.
Yeah. So therefore, that is something that I'll carry home, and this will again strengthen my resolve to say that I should have a point of view and a consistent point of view, so that I can make my brand salient.
Perfect. I think the biggest takeaway from this is to remember the three A's of how you get better as a marketer, which is accumulation, assimilation, and adaptation. So, my invitation to our listeners and possibly viewers with this episode is to say how they have practiced maybe not the assimilation, but at least the, sorry, maybe not the accumulation, but definitely the assimilation and the adaptation aspects of how they get better as marketers. Would love to know. Please let us know in your comments and in your mails that you send as always.